Tehillim 136. Give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his loving commitment is everlasting. Give thanks to the Elohim of mighty ones, for his loving commitment is everlasting. Give thanks to the Master of masters, for his loving commitment is everlasting. To him who alone does great wonders, for his loving commitment is everlasting. To him who by wisdom made the heavens, for his loving commitment is everlasting. To him who spread the earth on the waters, for his loving commitment is everlasting. To him who made great lights, for his loving commitment is everlasting. The sun to rule by day, for his loving commitment is everlasting. The moon and stars to rule by night, for his loving commitment is everlasting. To him who struck Mitzrayim in their firstborn, for his loving commitment is everlasting, and brought out Israel from their midst, for his loving commitment is everlasting, with a strong hand and with an outstretched arm, for his loving commitment is everlasting. To him who split apart the sea of reeds, for his loving commitment is everlasting, and made Israel pass through the midst of it, for his loving commitment is everlasting, but shook off Pharaoh and his army in the sea of reeds, for his loving commitment is everlasting. To him who led his people through the wilderness, for his loving commitment is everlasting. To him who struck great sovereigns, for his loving commitment is everlasting, and killed mighty sovereigns, for his loving commitment is everlasting. Even Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, for his loving commitment is everlasting, and Og, sovereign of Bashan, for his loving commitment is everlasting, and gave their land as an inheritance, for his loving commitment is everlasting, an inheritance to Israel his servant, for his loving commitment is everlasting, who remembered us in our humiliation, for his loving commitment is everlasting, and rescued us from our adversaries, for his loving commitment is everlasting, who gives food to all flesh, for his loving commitment is everlasting. Give thanks to the El of the heavens, for his loving commitment is everlasting.